Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful but actually super simple system for managing your money. And it's all designed to help you shift your mindset from just earning a living to truly owning your future. All right, so let's just jump right in. What do the world's wealthiest people actually have in common? Well, this chart here is pretty revealing, isn't it? 75% are entrepreneurs, 15% are investors. You starting to see the pattern here? And look, way down at the bottom, a big fat 0% for employees who only earn a salary.
And that leads us to this one single idea. This is the secret that most people just completely miss. See, the common thread among the wealthy isn't just about having a high income. It's about ownership. They own businesses, they own assets, they even own incredibly valuable skills. The real key to building wealth, it's to start owning things.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, how can I start owning things, especially if I'm not making a ton of money right now? Well, that's where this simple but incredibly powerful framework comes in. It's called the 25-15-50-10 money rule.
So here it is, the whole system in a nutshell. This is designed to put every single dollar you earn to work for you. We're talking 25% for growth, 15% for stability, 50% for all your essential needs, and a really crucial 10% for rewards. So let's break down exactly what each of these pieces means. All right, let's start with the first two parts of this rule. This is the 40% of your income that you're going to use to build your financial foundation, to basically launch your future self into a much better position.
So that first 25%, that's for growth. Now, this isn't money you just go out and spend. No, this is money you use to buy assets. Things that actually grow in value and, over time, put more money back into your pocket. This, right here, is how you start to own your own piece of the pie. And to really see why starting this as early as humanly possible is so critical, let's look at a little story about two guys, Billy and Phil. So Billy gets a head start. He's young, and he starts investing just $200 a month at age 20. Phil, on the other hand, waits a whole decade. He tries to catch up by investing more, $300 a month starting at age 30. So after 30 years of investing more money every single month, Phil's total investment grew to a very respectable $678,000. And you know what? That's not bad at all. But what about Billy? Get this, Billy, who actually invested $12,000 less of his own money over his lifetime, but started that one decade earlier, he ended up with over $1.2 million. That is nearly double what Phil had. And this just brilliantly illustrates the mind-blowing power of compound growth. That extra decade of his money working for him, well, it made all the difference. This is exactly why you have to start now. I mean it, even if it's small. Waiting is going to cost you way more than you think. So what kind of assets are we talking about? Well, what's really cool here is the sheer variety of things you can own. You can start with pretty safe options like index funds. Think of those as buying a tiny little slice of the whole stock market in one go. Then you've got things like real estate or even REITs, which are basically companies that own properties and pay you dividends. And then, as you get more comfortable, you can start exploring higher risk, higher reward things like individual stocks or maybe even starting your own online business. The main thing, the key, is just to start building that foundation of ownership.
Okay, next up is the 15% for stability. Think of this as your financial defense, your safety net. This is the money that's going to protect all those growth assets you're building. Because, let's be real, emergencies happen. A job loss, a car repair, you name it. This fund is what keeps you in the game when life throws you a curveball.
And building this fund is actually pretty straightforward. It's a simple three-step process. First, you've got to calculate your target number, which should be about 5 times your essential monthly expenses. Second, you have to store it in the right place, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And third, you want to use smart tactics, like automating your savings, to stack it up as fast as you can.
So where you actually keep this money is absolutely crucial, and there's a good reason for these rules. First off, it has to be liquid. That just means you can get your hands on it within 24 hours for a true emergency. Second, it has to be zero risk. I mean zero. You just can't afford for your emergency fund to drop in value right when you need it most, so that means no stocks, no crypto, none of that. And finally, it should always be earning some kind of interest, probably in a high-yield savings account. That way it's not just sitting there getting eaten alive by inflation.
Okay, so we've got our future building fund sorted out. Now let's switch gears and look at the other half of the rule. This is all about how you manage your day-to-day life and your spending, making sure that your present lifestyle doesn't end up sabotaging your future wealth.
I mean, look at this statistic. It's pretty shocking,
right? But it proves a really vital point. Building wealth isn't just about how much you earn. If your spending just grows every single time your income does, and that's a little something called lifestyle creep, you're never ever going to get ahead. That's why the goal here is to cap your essentials at 50% of your income, period.
And this really requires a mindset shift. You know, so many people equate wealth with the flashy stuff, expensive cars, designer clothes. But real wealth, true wealth, is the stuff you don't see. It's the assets you own that are working for you in the background. So the goal has to be to stop trying to look rich and start the actual process of becoming rich.
So how do you actually control your spending and keep it inside that 50% bucket? You need a system, not just sheer willpower. So the very first question you should ask yourself before any non-essential purchase is this: is this an impulse buy? And if the answer is yes, you got to apply the 7-day rule. Just wait a week. You'll be amazed how often that must-have urge just completely disappears.
Okay, but what if you still want it after a week? Well, then you ask yourself the next question. Am I buying this for the brand or for the value? In other words, are you paying a premium just for a logo, or are you paying for genuine quality and utility that's actually going to last? See, truly wealthy people, they chase value and durability, not just fancy marketing.
And the final check, ask yourself, will this actually improve my life? Is this a conscious, intentional choice to make your life better? Or is it just about killing some boredom or chasing a temporary dopamine hit? Being intentional with your money, that's the real key to keeping those essentials in check.
All right, and now for the final 10%, rewards. And let me tell you, this part is absolutely critical. Why? Because a financial plan that has zero joy in it is just not sustainable. This is your cheat meal, it's your guilt-free spending money, it's what keeps you sane and reminds you why you're being so disciplined with the other 90%.
And a little tip here, to get the most bang for your buck, the most happiness out of this 10%, you really want to prioritize spending on experiences over just stuff, you know? Things like vacations, they create memories that last a lifetime. Hobbies keep you passionate and engaged. And spending on experiences with the people you love, well, that strengthens the relationships that truly matter.
So, there you have it. That's the complete 25-15-50-10 system. It's a really balanced approach, right? It builds your future, it protects your present, it covers all your needs, and it allows you to actually enjoy the journey along the way. You know, by consistently applying this rule, you make a fundamental shift. You go from being just a consumer to being an owner. You stop being owned by your bills, and you start owning the assets that are going to build your freedom. The blueprint is right here in front of you. So really, the only question left is, what's your first step going to be? What is the very first asset that you will own?